Jacob. Maggie, this is for you. Don't have any kippot. I'd like one for my son. I didn't even think about it.
They're long kippot. And also we have water if you want to follow the tradition. Some people like to wash their hands when they leave. We have it over here.
Oh, thank you, we will. We would love to follow whatever tradition. It would be meaningful for
my also,
Thank you, sir.
We're not going to start till the right time because people are logging on and.
Yeah, that's okay.
You have gloves?
Really? I just didn't think about any of the obvious things.
I get it. We're going to take care of you. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. But I'll tell you, it'll help me channel my father if I suffer a little bit today.
Hey, Mommy. I have another pair.
It's okay. It's okay.
You need gloves before you
Okay, we're going to sit down. You can sit down, buddy. It's okay to sit down. Look, you're going to say Sabbath's in there. Sabbath's in there. It says Sabbath's in there.
But still the voice on the top.
Sit right here. My mother is watching on the video.
Yes.
You want to sit here? Uh-oh. You can sit in that chair. Okay.
I want to say a quick hello to Esther, Mrs. Efrati.
1 second, it's muted. So give me 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Unmuted, okay? Okay.
Hi, everybody. I want to say a very quick hello before we begin. We have another few minutes. A quick special hello to Mrs. Efrati, to Esther. I'm sure you can see me now. I cannot hear you, of course, and I don't know if you can hear me with the audio, but hello.
Okay, you know what? My glasses are so foggy. I might have to take you off on those tissues now because I can't see. Absolutely. I truly cannot see. Next time, don't get the anti-glare coating. Does it? Yeah. I mean, it makes it like impossible. It's so wet.
Please. Yeah, and then you'll lower it. And I'll be. Okay.
Listen. Rabbi's going to talk. I'm going to be so close. You turn the microphone on.
I want to welcome everybody who is present in person, as well as everybody who is watching on the Zoom and participating remotely to the funeral service for Moshe Efrati. I was privileged to know Moshe. My name is Rabbi Javorowski. I was privileged to know Moshe for the last few years, and it was an honor to know him, and of course the family as well. The hallmark of a traditional Jewish funeral is its simplicity and in its dignity. And perhaps those are two words that can describe Moshe very aptly. And we'll speak more about that later. But we're going to begin with the recitation of the 23rd chapter of Tehillim, 23rd Psalm. And I'm going to read it in Hebrew, and then we'll read it together in English. Mizmer LeDavid, Adonai Ro'i Le'achsar, Bin Ois Desha Yarbitseni Amei Menuchis Nahaleni, Nafshi Yeshovev Yancheni B'Magli Tzedek L'Ma'an Shmoi, Gam Ki Elech B'Geit HaMaves Le'irara Ki Ato Imadi, Shivtecha U'Mishantecha Hema Yinachamoni, Tarech L'Fanei Shulchan Neged Tzoreroi, Dishanta Vashemen Roshi Kosi Ravaya, Ach Tov V'Chesed Yudefoni Kol Yemei Chayoi, V'Shavti B'Veis Adonai L'Erech Yomim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Just a note that because today is Hanukkah, there are certain passages that we do not say at a funeral that we would otherwise say, because of the nature of the holiday, the festive nature of Hanukkah. And we'll speak more about Hanukkah in a moment. I'm going to read some very moving words that were written by Moshe's daughter, by Ruth, about Moshe. And I'm going to read it in her words. So when I say my father, you'll know that it's written by Ruth. My father, Moshe Efrati, passed away at age 86 on Wednesday, December 9th, after a long, debilitating illness. He died as he lived, quietly, peacefully, and without ever making a fuss. He was the loving and devoted husband of Esther Efrati Lincove, beloved father of Ruth Efrati Epstein and Keren Efrati Lincove, Zal, Zichronah Livracha, and proud grandfather of Marielle Efrati Epstein and Jacob Efrati Epstein. He was kind and gentle to the extreme, infinitely patient and sweet, with an extremely sharp and inventive intellect, never judgmental, and always with a sense of humor. He was modest and unassuming, and never asked for anything for himself. He loved his wife, his daughters, and his 2 grandchildren with every fiber of his being, and was devoted to them every day. Second only to his family, he adored his adopted state of Israel. His will to survive anything was extraordinary and legendary. He was born Moshe Pistiner in Viznitsia, Romania, in 1934. There he survived near drowning in an ice-covered river, the long years of the Holocaust, and the shooting that murdered his father, death marches and starvation in the ghettos and camps of Transnistria, Romania, diphtheria, typhoid, and scarlet fever, and years in a refugee camp in Cyprus, before finally arriving in Israel 1 month before its Independence Day. He came to Chicago in 1962 to study electrical engineering at the University of Illinois. In Chicago, he survived mugging at gunpoint, being hit head-on by a train, numerous hospitalizations, fractures, surgeries, cancer, chronic pain, paralysis, and COVID-19. Worst of all was the loss of his beloved daughter, Keren. And to much of it, he said, so what? In his endearing Eastern European accent. But he could not survive the awful year that has been 2020. My sister and I were so lucky to call him Abba, and I like to think that they are together now. The lesson of Hanukkah, one of the great lessons of Hanukkah, is the survival of the Jewish people. We learn that no matter how much the Jewish people are suffering, are oppressed, are small in number and persecuted, have enemies, powerful enemies in the world, they will survive, and not only will they survive, but their light, like the Hanukkah light themselves, will always continue to shine and will increase in its illumination. There is a verse in the Torah that says, Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam, that the candle of God is like the soul of a person. And what that means, in part, is that when a person lives, his purpose is to create light in the world. And even after a person passes away, the light continues to shine. The light that he created, through the family members that he left behind, through all of the people that he touched throughout his lifetime, and all of the good deeds that he did. So we who are left behind, mourning the passing of Moshe, we should take it to heart to increase in our own light that we illuminate in the world, And like the Hanukkah lights, which are increased every night of Hanukkah in their number, we should always look to be increasing our good deeds. And in this way, we will also continue the life and the legacy of Moshe Efrati and in his memory. Just want to point out a couple of things in connection with Hanukkah, that the name for the holiday Hanukkah, the sages teach us, is significant because it has two meanings. One is the meaning of dedication, like Chanukhat HaBayit, when you dedicate a house. And that was literally what happened on Hanukkah when the Maccabees came and rededicated the Beit HaMikdash, the temple in Jerusalem. That's a theme which is very connected with Moshe's life, as we just heard, of how dedicated Moshe was to building a home, to building a family, and to creating a legacy, not for the sake of creating a legacy, but because that's what he did, and that was his life, of touching people and increasing light in the world and dedicating himself to those good deeds. The other meaning of Hanukkah is connected with the word chinuch, which means education. And as we just heard, again in that email, in that letter, that beautiful obituary, Moshe had a brilliant mind. He was devoted to education, to learning, to furthering knowledge in the world. And of course, that's a very Jewish instinct, a very Jewish theme. And we are the people of the book, and we should continue and learn a lesson from that for our own lives as well. It is time now to begin the actual funeral, the actual burial. As we lower the grave, Ruth, the daughter, is going to have the kriya done, the tearing, the symbolic gesture of mourning, and we're going to make a blessing together. The symbolism of the tearing of a garment that's positioned over the heart is the idea that when we experience the loss of a loved one, we are left with a broken heart. Baruch, let's say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet. And we bless God who is the true judge. Okay. And as the casket is being lowered into the ground, it's obviously a time to think and to meditate upon our memories of Moshe and to think about the eternal life of the soul. The body is only a vessel that contains the soul during the person's lifetime. And when God calls the soul back to its heavenly abode, that vessel is interred in the ground because, as the Torah tells us, the body is made from dust, and to dust we shall return. And one of the ideas of returning to dust is that earth plays a very primary role in the cycle of life. From earth grows trees, plants, food. Everything that's needed, or many things that are needed for the cycle of life, comes from the earth. And so one of the ideas of being buried in the ground is that even though that person has passed on, his soul has now moved on to a higher plane and his abode residing in the heavenly abode, in heaven itself. But his life carries on in the people who are left behind, who remember him and carry on his good deeds. In a moment, everyone is going to have the opportunity to come up and to participate personally in the burial, the actual burial, and shoveling the earth into the grave, which is a very important part of the funeral. One of the things to keep in mind is that we don't hand the shovel to one another, but instead, after shoveling, just put it down and the next person will take it. Another thing to keep in mind is that as Moshe's soul is now standing in heaven, and we all know that after a lifetime lived, we stand before the heavenly court. And it's a very appropriate time for all of us who are mourning Moshe's passing that we should ask his forgiveness for anything that we may have done to him that was inappropriate or that we may regret during his lifetime. We should ask his forgiveness, and we should also forgive him. And the time that we're shoveling the dirt into the grave, that's a very appropriate time to have that in mind, that we forgive him, he should forgive us, we ask for his forgiveness. And this will also help in the heavenly court, because we know that the way that we act towards others, that's the way the heavenly court is disposed towards us as well. So our forgiveness and his forgiveness will lead to the heavenly court's good judgment and forgiveness as well. Thank you.
to stand to this side, and they're going to bring the rest of the earth. Good, Mom.
We're gonna have one more prayer, sweetie.
Very good.
We're gonna
We're gonna have another prayer.
conclude the services soon. There's another prayer that we're going to read now. Chapter 121 in the book of Psalms in Tehillim. And I'm going to read it in Hebrew and in English. It's not in your booklets. Shir lamalois esa'ena elaharim ma'ain yavi ezri. Ezri ma'im adinei oisei shamayim va'aretz. Al yitein amerit raglecha al yonum shemrecha. Hine le'yonum v'le'yishan shemer Yisrael. Adonai shemrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yareach ba'loila. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmer es nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzischa uveyecha me'ata ve'ad olam. A song of ascents. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help will come from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot falter. Your guardian does not slumber. Indeed, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian, the Lord is your protective shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. He will guard your soul. The Lord will guard your going and your coming from now and for all time. The final part of the service is when we do the formal blessing of comfort to the mourners. And we're all mourners, of course, at this moment, but the immediate family members are the mourners who receive the comfort, and the rest of us are the ones who give them the comfort. So that would be Ruth. We're going to, the traditional way to do it, as we all know probably, is to make a line, to make a row, 2 rows, and then the mourner will walk through, and as you walk through, we wish you the blessing of comfort. We'll do it together, and that is the conclusion of the service. Before we do that, Jackie has an announcement to make.
Thank you, Rabbi. We just wanted to thank everyone who attended the funeral via the live stream. For those of you who would like to make a memorial contribution, the following charities are listed on our website with appropriate addresses and web addresses if needed. Hatzalah Chicago Emergency Medical Service, Chicago Mitzvah Campaign, and also the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center. At this time, we'll ask the family to rise, and this will conclude our service. We'll be ending the live stream shortly.